First off, Shekhar, really love your film. Loved it. And in one of your interviews, you mentioned how the label of rom-com, how on one level it's a rom-com, but with the actors and collaborators involved, it evolved into more of a mythic reality. Can you just talk about the difference between the two and evolving the story?
Well, when I was first told that it's a rom-com, I said, yeah, of course, I know rom-coms, and I had no idea what a rom-com meant. And I always believe I don't even know how to define any film I've ever made because defining means confining. So how do I confine a film to the idea of a rom-com? Oh, no, you can't act like that. It's a rom-com. I can't take a shot like that. It's a rom-com. So I knew that I would not accept the fact that it's a rom-com. But what it was, well, there was one thing that I loved when I saw the script. Two things, actually. One is the character of Zoe. Zoe, Lily James plays Zoe. And Lily and I spoke before we met a lot. I was up in the Himalayas photographing retreating glaciers, and she was in London during the lockdown. And we talked a lot about what love means, what intimacy means, all of that without even talking about the script. Then we finally met a few months later when COVID was over in London. And then we started to explore the script. But by that time, I knew her and she knew me. She knew a lot about me and I knew a lot about her. So we were able to explore each other's humanness, and that's what I. So your question is exactly in my workshopping with other actors. I went in to explore who they were as human beings and I encouraged them to be as human beings and find the ideas in the script and the characters in themselves, not play the characters, but find them in themselves. And in doing so, they made it very human. They just made it very human, I would still look at, say, Zoe's, Lily's, that scene on stage when she's trying to explain why she made this film, how she is, what she's gone through in her journey. It's an amazing performance. It's so real. I mean, I would have hang on, is this a shot in a film or is it just she talking about herself, So that's where it suddenly became a film of the heart.
Yeah, and what has it been like for you to see this film with an audience? You're talking about the humanness of the film, and just the final act, without giving too much away. Ultimately, this is also a film about the importance of family, no matter what your situation is. That must have made you and the cast and crew feel really good about its reaction and the way people can relate to this movie.
Oh yes, it does. But of course, there's that part of my of my group that says we got to laugh there because we have these people coming in and telling you there's a graph, then they have a laughter graph, laugh there, because that was working anyway. That's obvious. How do you judge whether it's emotional or not? Because people, you judge it by standing as people are leaving and you see their faces and their tears coming down their faces, and then you know that emotionally it worked, which to me was really important. It was important because I was very concerned that everybody said, it's about a Muslim Asian immigrant family. Well, you could stand beside it and say, hey, I saw a great film about a Muslim Asian immigrant family, and how is that going to affect you? No, well, that's good. It's interesting. Or I asked my actors to open their hearts out. And so at the end of it, I realized that many people come and say, that grandmother, Nanijan? No, they're exactly like my grandmother, but they were Filipino. They were Scottish. They were New York. They were Jewish because their grandmother is exactly like that. And so what I saw and what to me was very heartening is that people went beyond identity. Because to me, it was important because we are living in a world that is getting polarized. And it's getting polarized into identities. And we're becoming strong like, oh, you're tribal, you're this, you're tribal, you're this, you're that tribe, we're this tribe. And I was hoping this film would encourage audiences to forget tribe, forget, polarization of identities. My mother is like that. My family is like that. This is how my family is. This is how we are. So how are they different from us? You forget that they're different from you. They just become another human beings because the actors open their hearts out to you. And you can, that's the fundamental nature of why people are taken to this film, because of the great performances. Even a small, if you remember, I'm not going to give much away, but that the husband of the girl that ran away, in one shot, he saw a factor. So real. But why he loves?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Go
no,
ahead.
sorry. On your personal website, I was going through some of your previous posts, and back in 2016, you were talking about the challenge of keeping your inner child and that creative journey. You were talking about photographing glaciers in the Himalayas. Is traveling a big part of keeping your inner child as an artist and more importantly, as a human, and especially in the face of the day-to-day stresses that we all deal with?
Yeah, but less so since COVID. But I was in a way, I was away from my family, but I was out photographing glaciers, retreating glaciers in the Himalayas when COVID happened, when all the lockdowns happened. Then I couldn't get back, and I remember But yes, the idea of potential risks, the idea of potential failure, is drives the mystery of life and the mystery of love. I'll never forget that. If there's no risk, there's not risk and reward. It's just that if we knew exactly how our tomorrows will work, why would we live? The adventure of life happens because we're not sure. Uncertainty. Uncertainty is a fundamental drive of creativity. Uncertainty is a fundamental drive of adventure of life. And therefore, I like traveling because I like to throw myself. So I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going. I just go and see where I get to. I still do that. We used to do that as kids, like fresh out of the university. We all did that. I don't know where we go. Are we going to land up in the middle of the Amazon? I still do that. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going. So it just drives me to uncertainty and adventure and therefore creativity.
Most people would say to you, counter and say, well, I'm too fearful to go outside my own door. How would you respond? I guess everyone's different, but how are you able to go outside your own door and just escape that fear of like you said, the uncertainty or the unknown?
Because there's nobody, to fear is human. So it's not that I'm not afraid. You think that if I'm climbing a mountain and I look down and I could fall, I'm terrified. But fear can also be a driving force. I mean, if I knew that every film of mine would succeed, why would I make a film? There is this constant thing is, God, this might just fail. This might fail. This scene, the audience would just start to walk out. Yeah. Am I sure they won't walk out? Well, if I was sure they were going to laugh and the show going to walk out and every director was like that, where would cinema be? Where would the adventure of cinema be? Where would the adventure of creativity be? Did Picasso paint and exactly knew how it would turn out? No, it was the adventure of like, oh my God, where is this painting going? The fear. Fear is an important part. But the overcoming of fear is fundamental what drives us. Remember, I just say when you were a kid and we always used to jump over these ditches. I still remember I was always doing that. And why did you? Because you looked at such, can I jump it? Can I fall in? It's that idea that you might fall in that makes you jump.
My final question is last question is a very quick one, but I know you can't answer it within like 20 seconds. But the story about the two kids with the BlackBerry from a decade ago, in the onset of the iPhone, and then on top of that, your last post was about AI on your personal website. Do you see disruptors as well as artificial intelligence playing a vital role? Just specifically in cinema, the language of cinema, about being a disruptor and AI. Do you think that may play an important role in what we're doing as filmmakers?
Cinema is a technological medium. There's absolutely going to be all these attempts at AI, chat GPT trying to tell a story. I've tried it and I've tested myself. I'm still better because one thing AI will never know is fear. Yeah. How do you put fear into AI? No, you have to put something that is knowing, because that's how we program it. A known factor. So how will AI ever know fear? If AI does not know fear, despite what's, this amazing film, what was that, 2001 Space Odyssey, the computer felt fear. I don't know that AI will ever feel fear, because AI is so much of what we put into it. Will it learn fear from us? I doubt it. So no creativity.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I love your film. I must admit, I did shed a few tears at the end. So thank you, and a great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.